All right, what's up, fam? Thank y'all for tuning in once again. So we've had a few plane crashes recently and been in the news, and everybody's in the uproar. Everybody's in fear of flying, and everybody, all Democrat shields, are trying to blame Trump and Elon Musk for the cuts that they're making for these crashes. No different here than this clip we're about to play from CNN, but Kevin O'Leary is going to make some good points. And what you have to understand, when it comes to making changes, a lot of times the best decision is the hardest decision, and you'll have casualties. That's just how the world goes, man. If you want to do better, sometimes you gotta take losses. That's the thing about life. There's nothing 100%. Nothing works 100% of the time. Nothing when it deals to man works 100% of the time. But I'm gonna play this clip. We're gonna dive into it, and I'm gonna give my take on it. Let's hit it.
Isn't there
Don't
already a
forget to
shortage
like, share, comment, and subscribe. And when you do subscribe, hit the notification bell. So every time I drop a video, you will be the first to know about it. Let's hit it.
at the FAA? Why do this now, especially considering what's happened in the States? And now, of course, you have this other incident and a few others.
Yeah, well, this one happened in Canada, but
Yes.
I can only tell you what the Secretary of Transportation says. There are 45,000 employees at the FAA.
You know I'm bad at this, but I got to make it stop. And because I'm checking out this visual. You see this lady here in her hair. Killer waves. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if I could rock hair that thick. My hair is kind of thin anyway, but I don't know if I could rock waves like that if my hair was that thick. I would love to if I could. But you see her hairline. It is not pushed back. This is why I feel a lot of times I don't know what I'm talking to my sisters. I don't know what y'all do to y'all hair, what y'all put in y'all hair to where a lot of times that the hairline is pushed back. I know a lot of times people they say, you brush it too much backwards, that'll cause it to happen, or braiding too tight, that'll cause it to happen. I get it. But see, a lady like this, I would try to reach out to her if I was a female and say, hey, how is it you got this full head of hair? Because this ain't a wig. I'd be dang, that's not a wig at all. I'd be wondering, like, how you get this full head of hair, wave it like that, and you still have your original hairline. And I know you got to be, I know it's going to kill me. I'm going to say 30s. You're at least in your 30s, going on maybe at least in your 30s. And you still have your full hairline. Man, explain that to me. But anyway, I'm sorry. Let's get back to it. Let me rewind. Damn it. I shouldn't have did that.
Isn't there already a shortage at the FAA? Why do this now, especially considering what's happened in the States? And now, of course, you have this other incident and a few others.
Yeah, well, this one happened in Canada, but
yes.
I can only tell you what the Secretary of Transportation says. There are 45,000 employees at the FAA. We're talking about fewer than 400 people, and he says 0 air traffic controllers and critical safety personnel were let go. So if that's true, I don't really have a problem with it, to be honest with you. I do like the idea of keeping the people who are in the direct chain of command of safety and the air traffic control system and so on and so forth. But I have a hard time believing that there is a single government agency that doesn't have a bloat of administrative personnel that we could probably do without. And I think that's why a lot of voters are happy that Donald Trump and Elon Musk are finally going through the federal government and trying to take out some of this bureaucracy that we probably just don't need. So I'm reading to you what Sean Duffy says. He's the Secretary of the Transportation. I have no reason to doubt his numbers.
Karen, when you hear this, I mean, look, Americans are concerned about bloat in the federal government. They have been for a very long time. What do you make of how it's been meted out?
So the concern that I think a lot of Americans have, we can all agree there's bloat. We can all agree that we need to deal with that. At the same time, what we're seeing is speed for the sake of creating momentum.
Look how you looking, like, man, y'all don't even get it.
To create a sense of things are happening. At the same time, look what happened Friday. We had nuclear scientists fired, and then they said, oops, we need those people because they have a technical skill that nobody else has. So the problem that I have with the way they're doing it is and I went to the DOGE website to see if they would say anything about, look, we are conducting this process to make sure we don't harm American safety, their health, or take money out of their wallets. They don't say that. And we're finding out the consequences and the impact of some of these things. If you're a doctor for the VA in the Midwest and you're told you're going to be fired or you're waiting for this court to play out, what are you supposed to do with your client the veteran who's got PTSD? Are you trying to find them someone else to go see because you're not sure if you're going to be there in 2 weeks? Or are you assuming you'll be spared because someone will figure out that it's probably not smart to get rid of doctors who are at the VA who may be working on a critical function? So that's the concern. I think this could have been done with a lot more thoughtfulness about how do we protect people's safety. Even if you said, look, we're going to take 2 weeks at each agency.
Oh, hold on. She's just rambling. Been trying to cut her off for the longest. The problem is, think about this. Politics, president, Donald Trump only got 4 years. He don't have 8 years. If you're trying to make change, you might think 4 years is a long time. 4 years is a long time for a 9-year-old, for a 47-year-old, for a 50, 60. Once you become grown and you have kids and they pretty much become grown, you start, responsibilities become more, a little different than when you was a kid. The older you get, bottom line is time goes by a lot quicker. I've been in this house a little over 7 years. Don't even feel like it. But time, like I said, time goes by quicker the older you get. So, because you realize that time waits. That's why I say, if it's one thing people need to respect of you, and that's your time. Because that's the one thing you cannot get back or replace. I can say, truthfully, I can say you can replace things and you can even replace people to an extent. Now, I know that sounds kind of harsh, but you can. But time is something you cannot get back. Land is something that you cannot create more of. So those are like two things. The land before time, amazing. Isn't that a movie? Anyway, those are, like I said, with time you can't get back. So, and it goes by quickly. So Donald Trump has practically not even 4 years. He has less than 2 years, because you got to think about the midterms, to get something in place and try to correct and fix something or bring to light something that has been going on for decades, probably since the beginning of our government, or how they paying attention to finances, so how they researching and, pay attention to finances. And as money goes up, because I saw one stat where they found like with Social Security benefits, paying out benefits. They said it was like $70-something billion that they found that was paid, like just wasteful spending, paid to the wrong person, or paid too much, or too much of a payment going to somebody. But it was like not even 0.8% of what's being paid out. So if you look at one end, you like, man, $7 billion is a lot, or however many billions it was a lot. But it's less than 1%. You might think, man, that's nothing. But when you're talking money, and when this is something that you can think about when it comes to like investing and savings and stuff like that, when you invest in like mutual funds, IRAs, and it shows like you get like a 10%, 8% return each year. If you only got $100, you might think that's nothing. Man, that's not even worth my time putting that. I can use that money for something else. But if you look at the grand scheme of things and you look in the future, like I say, because eventually time is going to catch up to you. You can put that $100 in and you get, what is it, like 8% is what, $8? And then if you add enough, but if you add more money to it, after a while, when you get to the tens and hundreds of thousands and to the millions, that 8%, hell, the average person, let's just say like this. Let's say if you had $1 million in the bank, that 8%, that 8 to 10% that you get from your return on investment, average person can live off of that in a year. You know what I'm saying? Person in poverty would be like, be living like a wealthy person with 8%. You see what I'm saying? So that amount of money in the grant, that's a lot of money. And that, like I said, so that 0.8% can go to the American people. And like I said, those billions of dollars can go to the American people so they can use and put it back in the economy. You see what I'm saying? So you got to look at it on a broad. You gotta look at it on a broader scale. And okay, let's go back to hopefully she'll stop rambling.
Try to do some kind of rubric to make an assessment, not putting it into an AI system, by the way.
But like I'm saying, he only got really like less than 2 years to fix this, to bring it out. So yeah, he got to go scorched earth. He don't have a lot of time. You don't know who the president you don't know who's going to be running Congress in 2 years in the midterms. You don't know who's going to be the president in 4 years. You don't know if it's going to be Republican, Democrat, J.D. Vance, or Kamala Harris. Who knows? Somebody else the Democrats bring out the woodworks who going to try to hopefully run on something different than LGBT and abortion rights. Baby deletion rights. So yeah, he don't have a whole lot of time to get it done. So yeah, he got to go scorched earth. Yeah, you'll fire some people, get rid of some people that you might need. And you can always say, hey, I need to bring you back. But the problem is, you got to think about it. If this wasn't a problem in the first place, he wouldn't have to do this. You wouldn't have to hurt people who don't deserve to be hurt or to have to go through things. So don't blame Donald Trump for what he's doing. Blame the people before him who didn't do what he was doing, or blame them for what they were doing when they were in office.
Some of what we've read that they've done. And I think what we're going to find is a number of these oops moments that could be dangerous.
I just think they need to read the room. I mean, there have been 3 major plane crashes in just, less than a month. One of them was just a few blocks from the high school I went to.
And you see this brother here, he's going to continue that narrative. That's what pisses me off about Democratic shields and people, who have an agenda and going to stick to it no matter what. He's still talking about these doggone plane crashes. And it's already been proved. Matter of fact, I'm finna read something for y'all real quick. I'm going to read it on a different video that I'm going to do. But I'm just going to repeat it again on the next video. But this is from whiskeyriff.com. And I'm just going to go through a little bit. It says it's been a rough start to the year for the aviation industry, with several high-profile plane crashes raising concern about airline safety. Of course, the most notable is the crash in Washington, D.C. between American Airlines flights and a military helicopter that left 67 dead in the first commercial plane crash in 16 years. Since then, though, we've also had plane crashes in Philadelphia, Alaska, Arizona, among others, that have made headlines and left people questioning whether it's safe to fly. Naturally, a lot of people rush to blame Donald Trump for the plane crashes. More specifically, many in the media and online pointed to the Trump administration cuts to the FAA as making air travel less safe. Now, never mind that data from the NTSB shows that airplane accidents actually reached a record low in January 2025, with the 62 total accidents beating the previous record low of 70 back in 2012, which was 13 years ago? And of course, the vast majority of these incidents were on private planes, which have a much higher incident rate than commercial air travel. While 10 of the accidents were fatal, that number ties 2022 for the safest January on record 3 years ago. So while it may feel like there are more aviation accidents, the reality seems to be that we're simply paying more attention to them after the horrific crash in Washington, D.C. Okay, so with that being said, they always put the brother out there or the sister out there to try to push a narrative, and for some reason, we don't know when to quit. Leave that alone, man.
In Northeast Philadelphia. And, tell that to the little boy with the metal in his head, trying to protect his sister during that plane crash.
I'm sorry, you have casualties.
I think that not only do you have to protect the safety of Americans physically, but I think you have to protect our safety mentally. We see you laying off people from the FAA. At this point, nobody at the FAA is dispensable. I think you have to keep everybody there, at least, for the time being, because we've had these major plane crashes that you haven't seen in 16 years.
Kevin, the optics of this is what you're referring to.
I think the issue is they're not whacking enough. There's this concept in private equity, when you get a bankrupt company and you go in there, you cut 20% more than your initial read. And then you find like a pool of mercury, the organization gels back together again. Always cut deeper, harder when there's fat and waste. The FAA, it's not the people. The code is cobalt. It's from the 60s. It needs CapEx put into it for the technology to be upgraded to make it safer. Fat like a chicken. All of these agencies are like big fat chickens dripping over barbecues of fat. This is the best barbecue I've ever seen, but I don't think it's happening fast enough. They're not cutting enough. Keep slashing, keep hacking while you have a 24-month mandate before the midterms. Cut, more cutting. Believe me, it's going to work out just great. Everybody should be happy
Even people with the nuclear codes, cut them too?
Cut everything. Because if you don't see what they're doing and they can't show you that they're adding value, you whack.
But it's not clear that they're even asking people to show us what you're doing. Again, this was a story Friday, and literally Elon said, oops, we gotta rehire them because nobody knows how to do what these people know how to do.
Yeah, the nuclear thing. Okay, gets it wrong once in a while. Big deal. So what?
I agree with that.
10% of the time.
It's okay. I actually think it's okay if they run into a stumble here or there because the project is so massive.
Exactly. Exactly. Like I say, in order to fix a problem, what they say, sometimes the hardest decision is your best decision. If you have to cut a lot of people, because let's put it on let's try to make it personal. I work in the industry, like I say, nursing, dialysis, where I've seen, especially like during the pandemic, I've seen companies, even before then, you see companies merge. I've seen clinics close. I've seen companies go out of business, or some try to grow and then they just don't make it. The bottom line is always the dollar. Now, people say America is a capitalistic society because somebody in one of the comments said this is a country, not a business. I'm sorry, it is a business. If it's a capitalistic society, it's a business and it runs on money. You need money to keep this country afloat. If that's the case, you got to run it like a business. So which means when you got waste, when you got this deficit and it's steadily growing, but they talk about it like in passing, like it doesn't mean anything. Have a deficit at your house. Credit cards, student loans, what else? Payday loans, title loans. Owe these people money in your house and owe thousands in your house. IRS. Eventually, these people are going to come after their money. I am an example. I don't mind telling some of my life story, but I was sued years ago by a credit card company. I want y'all to understand that these people watch your money. If you think they don't, if you don't believe it, they watch your money. They know who you paying, because your credit report is public record, right? So you might think, I can get my credit report because it's mine. You know what? Your credit report, you can get a free credit report. And if these companies that you owe money to need to know why you ain't getting your money, they can get your financials. You know what I'm saying? They can look and see who you paid. Hell, just like, they can look and see, like I said, who you paid. We may not believe they can, but I believe they can, for the simple fact is, when I got sued by a credit card company, I was making payments to like other entities or whatever that I owed, and was knocking it down, paying it down. And all of a sudden, boom, one credit card said, "Oh no, we want our money now." You know what I'm saying? So years ago, and I got sued, and they said, went to the court, said I owed the money. You know what I'm saying? The court said we're gonna take it out your account. You know what I'm saying? Shut it down. So every time I got paid, like I said, so I started out like with they took all the money that I owed. Did they do that? Yeah. They took all the money that I owed out of my account, and I didn't have that money in there. So the account was like in the negative. So I basically had to like close that account before, because they were gonna I had to basically close that account. It was a lot. If you've been through it, you know what I'm talking about. But the thing is, like I said, you owe a lot of people. Eventually, somebody's gonna come after their money. Somebody's gonna want their money, and the country is in debt. And there are people that the country the United States that's gonna eventually want their money. So So Donald Trump and Elon Musk are trying to shore up and free up some money and find wasteful spending and stop this wasteful spending to cut this deficit down. That's what you're supposed to do. And yes, that means if you owe, like I say, title loans, payday loans, credit cards, IRS, student loans, eventually somebody gonna want their money, you're gonna have to make cuts. And God forbid you have a wife, a husband, and kids, and they're used to a certain lifestyle. Now you're gonna have to say, I'm sorry, little Billy, but we're gonna have to, you can't get the new video game, you can't get the new iPhone, you can't, I don't have Roblox money. Just can't, you know what I'm saying, can't get the new Jordans or whatever. Do people wear LeBron James still? But you know, you can't get this, that, and the third. We're gonna have to cut back. We can't eat the finest food. We're gonna eat peanut butter and jelly sandwiches for the next, I don't know how long, until we can pay these people off. No, we can't live in this house. We're gonna have to sell a house and live in like a little small apartment, you know what I'm saying, until we can pay these people back. It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. Who gonna suffer? Your kids. Your children suffer. Or if this is something that you created by yourself and now you got married or you did it and your spouse didn't know, now it's your whole household has to suffer because of the choices you made. So, I mean, that's just part of life.
The need to cut is so massive. The government is so massive. It's inconceivable that you wouldn't make a mistake here or there. But I think that's acceptable if the greater goal is achieved, which is a smaller government, more efficient government.
Even if someone,
trim the fat.
Even if someone dies, or even if someone, because
Are
we're
you
talking
alleging
about
that someone has died from this?
we don't know. I'm talking about when the rubber meets
so
the
now
road.
she like making up stuff, you know, talking about ghosts. Scared of ghosts, they ain't even there. Like I said, I've seen companies, dialysis companies come and go, clinics being shut down, companies merging, growing. Like the company I work for, they growing. And I mean, it happens all the time. Now, when y'all think about working in a clinic, I've been in situations where we're understaffed and people working overtime, you know. And while you're understaffed, it could be, you know, everybody can't cut it. Or you have people who don't want to work. First thing they do when they come in your job, they complaining about working, how hard they working. Shoot, I'd have been in a situation where some people, they complain about working too many hours. And then when you hire more people and trim their hours down to where they should be, now they complain about not having enough hours. Then they got to go find a part-time job. So it's like, I mean, you got to pick a struggle. You know what I'm saying? You can't have both. Which one is it? So from a business standpoint, business is trying to make money and trying to keep money in their pocket. So I've been in spots where we've been fully staffed, but then the staff creates an environment that is not pleasant to be in while you're working and you're dealing with people's lives, or they're doing things that can be harmful or dangerous. So on one hand, you got to look at, man, I don't want to, you don't want to get rid of this person because it keeps us fully staffed. And so I can, work so many, work just enough hours, have a work home life balance, something like that. Go on vacation, not to work so much, ain't got to work every weekend. But if we get rid of this person because, can nobody work with them? If we get rid of this person, now we back to square one. And now everybody suffers. We suffer. Our family suffer. Patients may suffer. Well, I don't know if the patients will suffer, but they got a risk of suffering because the employee is working too much. So what do? Well, business-wise, you got to cut. If they're making it to where it's hard to work, if they're making errors, which is costing money, which is creating problems, you got to cut. You got to get rid of them. And try to bring in somebody who can come in and fill that position, who can actually do the job that needs to be done, have the right attitude, and willing to learn, willing to change, willing to accept their faults and their problems, and you move on. But that's just something that you have to do. You have to make changes in order to get better. So like Kevin O'Leary say, should you cut more? And then number one, that makes people wake up. makes people realize, oh man, my job ain't safe. I gotta shape up. So they'll shape up and do their job. And then when you actually go out there and try to hire people, those people know, hey, this place, I gotta go in and do my job. Do what's asked for me. Do what's asked from me. Because if I don't, they ain't got no problem cutting. That's how you create an atmosphere of people who want to work, and then you got to get the work done.
Talking about, for example, Kansas City, 30,000 government employees might be laid off. It will destroy the economy of Kansas City. That's okay?
No, it's not okay. But what's also not okay is that like I say, all this wasteful spending. They talking about they want it done slowly and meticulously. I'm sorry. That's not how you demolish a building. You can demolish a building in a matter of minutes. But it'll take months, maybe even years to build it back up. But when it's built back up, you know what I'm saying, it's good as new, and it's designed hopefully to last damn near a lifetime.
Say that.
Because I'm reading what the individuals from Kansas City have been saying, that they're very concerned.
What do you think they're going to say when they're going to get whacked?
Of course they're going to say that. But my point is, do we think that's smart to live in an American city just go under?
How many American cities need a massively oversized federal government to stay afloat? I mean, isn't that said more about the city than the government?
But when did we get to the point where presidents are measuring themselves by how many people they put out of work instead of how many people they get jobs
for? Not a moment too soon.
Yeah, this is crazy. This is absolutely
because the government only ever gets bigger,
fat chickens, hopefully they lay some eggs and maybe then we can afford
it. This strikes me as something that was done just for the sake of doing. And I think it was a tone deaf move. It wasn't a big enough cut to do anything. It was a completely tone deaf move. I mean, I find people are always interested in efficiency as long as it doesn't affect them. And it's strange to me that we got enough people to go and ride around the racetrack behind the presidential limousine and such, and to guard 3 residences. And we're never cutting people from there. But to come now and make sort of a tone deaf move to cut the FAA is again, this is an image thing, and they want to be seen as doing something.
So I'm sorry, but like I say, sometimes cuts happen. I think the only time I actually really ever got cut from a job was back in high school. I think I was working at Incredible Universe, and it was a seasonal job. I was young and I was doing my job. I enjoyed it. Thought I did great. Shoot, I think I had people that, was hoping that I would keep the job, but didn't really realize it was seasonal until season was over, and then they, let us go. And I was like, dang, but they gave us like some kind of bonus certificates or stock or something like that, to where you can go in and get a bunch of stuff, for free because you worked there, because I worked there. And actually got some household appliances. Well, like pots, pans, stuff like that for the kitchen. Because at the time, I think when I had moved out the house and getting ready to start a family or whatever, and we had nothing. So, it came in handy. But then Incredible Universe eventually went out of business. Maybe not too long after that, maybe a couple of years or whatever. But that's the only time, like I said, I got actually let go from a job for whatever reason. I don't think I ever got fired from a job. Dang, that's crazy. I left jobs, but I don't think anyway, yeah. But anyway, yeah, man, you got to make them, like I said, you got to make cuts, you got to make changes, unfortunately. I mean, you're going to have, like I said, you're going to have casualties. That's how war goes. What I'm saying? We're trying to fight. They're trying to fight to get the country back on its feet, to get the country back in the green, which it probably will not happen no time soon. But I mean, this is a good blueprint. You got to create something for people to look at and know how to tweak in the future in order to make it better. So when the next president comes and they try to continue to do the same thing and cut the spending, they can say, hey, this is what Donald Trump did. This is what worked. This is what didn't work. We're going to try to stick with what's working. We're going to, with the modern technology, you can, people can go on a website. People can look at the budget. Since it's taxpayers' money, they should be able to see everything that we're spending their money on. With, what I'm saying, without, and make it easy for them to be able to look at it. And I think it's eventually going to turn into a good thing. It's going to hurt. It's going to hurt. You know what I'm saying? It's like working out and like changing your diet. When you're doing things for the better, it hurts from what you're used to. But in the end, in the long run, you look back and say, man, I'm glad we went through this. So now we're looking better as a whole. But anyway, tell me what you think about this story. Leave your comments below. Share it with the world. Let's have an intelligent conversation. You know how we do around here. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Those 4 things cost you nothing but maybe a couple minutes out your day. But it means the world to us here. If you'd like to support us financially, you can get super thanks, super chat, super stickers. And you can go to the description box. There are a couple of links there you can click on and show us help, show us support there. Also, hit that shop button below or go to marlonmorale.com. Check out our products. We got products I know you will love. We got silks, perfumes, colognes, beard products, handbags, and more. Check it out. And with that being said, I'll leave you in peace, and I'll see you on the other side.